When we train our minds, can we see that sometimes wisdom arises? We think, forget about it, let it go. This thing isn't at all important. Letting go is more important. So letting go is not liking or disliking, not being delighted or averse. It is wisdom as well. Like the Kruba Ajahns, the great teachers, they may teach to make the mind firm and stable like the earth, or to make the mind like a tree stump. Whoever treads and steps on a tree stump, the stump will be indifferent and unmoved. If they water it, it will be indifferent. Whoever goes and trips over it, it will be indifferent. This is not having liking or disliking to anything. The Venerable Elder Kruba Ajahn Tongrat, who was the teacher to our Venerable Ajahn Chah, he taught in a simple way to not have liking or disliking, to practice it like that. When an elderly monk went and did that, he could understand the Dhamma well. He had no more doubts, to just train in this much. So in regards to Dhamma, there is no need to learn about pariyatti, the texts a lot, know a little about them, but practice a lot, and then one will get results in that practice. So we need to come and train in it. But sometimes will we have upekkha, equanimity? We see someone in difficulties and troubles and we don't help. We lack metta, goodwill. If we help too much, then we have no metta for ourselves. And especially in society these days, we have to be careful. Some people may trick us. Some people may cheat and deceive others. We may feel sorry for them, but we have to especially feel sorry for ourselves the most. So for metta, we have to have a suitable amount of it. Don't harm yourself. Maybe someone needs something and we go help them in every way until we become someone who is used easily by others. We are someone who helps easily. We won't dare to refuse. We are afraid others will suffer, and so we end up suffering. This shows that we don't have metta for ourselves. We have to have metta to ourselves as well as metta to others. We have compassion and help ourselves, as well as helping others to be free from suffering. We do so according to our strength. It's not that it exceeds our strength and we still do it, until we are in debt and owing others, and we have troubles and difficulties. We may instead find reasonable ways to help them. Maybe we give them a means as how they can overcome their own suffering. We don't refuse outright in helping them, and in this we need to have wisdom as well. Sitting meditation is training the mind to have peace. It is building and gathering our strength of mind, so it has the strength to fight with all these sense experiences. It makes our mind to have upekkha, equanimity, arise, which is being able to be indifferent. So train in upekkha, not liking and not disliking. It is the path to see the Dhamma. Once I was walking meditation, bhavana, and practicing, and my mind had a lot of rapture and bliss. It was months on end. It was that much. It can arise like this. And my mind just wanted to be free from suffering right away. I thought, what is the path for me to attain to the Dhamma? And Venerable Ajahn Chah gave a talk right away that not liking and not disliking. Here, train in this. This is making the mind to be upekkha, and if it becomes a lot, it is upekkha which has the strength to attain to the Dhamma. It can be upekkha sambojjhanga, a factor of enlightenment. It is the power of samadhi. So upekkha in samadhi, firm concentration, and upekkha with wisdom arising bit by bit. This is having vipassana, insight into seeing arising and ceasing, not having liking or disliking towards our body, and towards rupa, material phenomena, and nama, mental phenomena. It is seen clearly. We see that it is simply just a body. Body is merely a body. It is not a living being, a person, a self, me or them. There it is vipassana. It is upekkha with vipassana. But to get there, we need to train our mind. Sometimes we have no samadhi, and so we need to train in giving and making merit first. We don't find pleasure in sleeping comfortably. Why? Because is that upekkha? It is the upekkha of the type that has delusion. So we need to build merit and build barami, spiritual accumulations, a lot. For our Buddha, it wasn't easy for him to train to have upekkha, equanimity. He had contemplated this already and had examined and seen it with his knowledges. He saw that upekkha had to be done to the utmost. One had to make the mind peaceful, to not waver, and to be firm like the earth. Whoever pours in clean things or dirty things, they must have a mind that can be still. Then one can be indifferent in these sense experiences. Here the Buddha trained in this. Where is a suitable place to train in this? The Buddha contemplated this, and it was the time when he was a bodhisattva, building barami to become a Buddha. He was a child of a rich family. He had knowledge in all subjects. He was very smart. And when his parents had passed away, he didn't want to marry, because he saw life as impermanent. He contemplated this body as being not beautiful. He renounced the home life and practiced. He gave food and all his things away. He had no stinginess. And just doing this much is hard already. It's hard to do. He needed to have nekkhamma, renunciation, and dana barami, the spiritual perfection of giving. Here the bodhisattva trained in upekkha. He wore old clothing. He wouldn't change into new clothes. Though he had good mindfulness and wisdom, he pretended to be stupid, having no wisdom. Could we do this? Pretend to be someone dumb? To fake being stupid? If we were someone smart, then we would argue about all sorts of things. We would try to win over others. But if we pretended to be dumb, then whoever says anything to us, scolds us as being dumb, we will be indifferent and calm. We train in having upekkha. Even if they insult us in whatever way, we will be indifferent. They say we are stupid, and we will be indifferent. We just stay being that way. So when the bodhisattva stayed in one village, the children in that village were naughty. They hit and beat him. They did all sorts of bad things to him. But he was still indifferent. He thought that this was a good village where he could train in upekkha. But for us to follow and try to do this, we just wouldn't be able to. The bodhisattva had jhana and samadhi at a high level. He slept in a cremation ground and used the skull of a dead person instead of a pillow. He wasn't scared. But these children just insulted him more and more. They spat at him and threw dirt on him, like they saw him as someone crazy, wearing dirty clothes, being all dirty. The kids saw him as stupid and crazy, and so they bullied him a lot. But they were the ones who had no wisdom. Here there was a village elder who was learned and who had wisdom. He saw through it. He saw the bodhisattva and knew that he was not an ordinary man, and that he was a spiritual practitioner who had much inner power. He had a high level of austere practice and was a great being. The village elder stopped the children not to do that. And the village elder took them to take fragrances and flowers to puja, give homage to the bodhisattva, to our Buddha. But both the good things and the bad things the bodhisattva had upekkha towards, he was indifferent, not liking and not disliking. Or when the Buddha was the king of Varanasi city, at that time the neighboring city knew that Varanasi city had a Sammasambuddha as the ruler of the city. They heard that he was someone who was weak. It was said that the king forgave robbers and thieves. He let them go without punishment. They thought the city had weak government. So the neighboring city deployed their troops to invade the city and took it over little by little. The bodhisattva had upekkha. They took the ministers, and the bodhisattva was still upekkha and didn't do anything. Ultimately, they were going to kill him, and so he had to show a bit of his power and strength. So he escaped from his restraints, and in no long time he was able to defeat all his enemies. And the king of the invading country was none other than Venerable Ananda in a past life. So he got faith and confidence in the Buddha as a bodhisattva. The bodhisattva had upekkha. He trained in not liking and not disliking. So we should try to train in this. Usually when others go say bad things to us, we have anger and hate come up. If others praise us, we are pleased and contented. But we see that, when we have people praise us, we think of people criticizing us. When people criticize us, then we think of people praising us. By living in this world, we won't be able to escape from criticism and praise, from gain and loss, from fame and loss of fame, from praise and happiness, from criticism and suffering. They are pairs. We contemplate the 8 worldly conditions like this, and we can see the Dhamma. The Dhamma is simply the Dhamma. It's not a living being, a person, a self, me or other. So, if we are to train in upekkha well, or have the mind to be a mind of upekkha, it needs to have samadhi. When sense objects come in, then we will have the strength to contemplate them. The mind will be in the middle. It can be indifferent and calm. If it is liking, then it is kamma sukhalikanu yogo, attachment to sense pleasures. If it is disliking, it is atta kilamatanu yogo, attachment to self-deprivation arising. Both these paths are not the path to peace. But we like happiness, and we don't like suffering. We like birth, but we don't like aging, sickness and death. On the right is birth, on the left is aging, sickness and death. If we get the right, then we get the left as well. There isn't just one. Like we lift up a knife. It has the blade and the handle. We can't just pick up the blade without the handle. It has the handle and blade as a pair. So what are we to do? We have to contemplate it before it decays and breaks apart. Take this body and flesh and use it for benefit in training the mind to have samadhi and to have wisdom. And by having sila Dhamma, morality, as the foundation. When we have sila Dhamma as a foundation, then when we're driving on the road and we may encounter some problems, but we don't blame, criticize, or speak harshly. We don't go driving and cutting them off, or driving recklessly in front or behind them. As these days, it isn't normal. There may be a mood arising, and there is no dispute and argument, but they just go ahead and take the other's life. There are cases of this. Just this much, and when anger arises, we forget about everything. So can we see this? But we are Dhamma practitioners, so we can overcome and get out of the situation safely. We have upekkha. Forget about it. Forget about them. Don't worry about them. Let them be. So have upekkha. Like for some Kruba Ajahns, they put a weighing scale in front of them and stare at it, reminding them to just let them be, to forget about them. they enter samadhi of a high level. So this is an example for us to contemplate on. Think, forget about it. That is, to let go. Let it go. If we can let go, then the mind won't suffer. Suffering doesn't follow us because we have wisdom. So train in it. Practice it. Samadhi is important. It is samadhi sambojjhanga, samadhi as a factor of enlightenment, and it can be upekkha sambojjhanga because of our training of our mind. And by us having sila first, with this sila, we may receive some pain and injury. We may have some love and hate arise, but we patiently endure it. When we have lots of forbearance, then we enter samadhi and wisdom arises. Then, we can be equanimous. We are neither happy nor suffering. We put the heart at ease and is calmed. Whoever will harm us, speak bad, insult us, we can be indifferent and calm. And this is not easy. I once saw when Venerable Ajahn Chah was sitting in the eating hall, and there was one elderly lady who worked selling goods in the market. No one would argue with this lady, as she was like the head of that market, and she spoke all the time. She would speak non-stop. She came and offered food to Venerable Ajahn Chah, and then continued to speak. She really spoke without stopping. She was very talkative. And Ajahn Chah just said one word, and she would say 100 words. Ajahn Chah would then say another word, and she would continue to speak. So what did Ajahn Chah do? Ajahn Chah was indifferent. He sat and listened, and she kept on speaking. And in the end, she spoke more than 30 minutes. On that day, the monks and novices ate later than usual. She finally took leave of Ajahn Chah and went back. She felt much better already, as she had let out all that was on her mind. She had brought all the rotten things of hers and given it all to Ajahn Chah. But Ajahn Chah didn't receive it. He was just indifferent to it. How was he indifferent? He did not say anything, did not argue or speak back. And after this lady had gone back, Ajahn Chah said, the one speaking or the one who is silent, who will win out? The one who speaks and the one who doesn't speak and is silent, who will win? As it goes on, the one who is silent will win. And Ajahn Chah won because he was indifferent. The one who speaks on and on gets tired. They are worn out, right? But we need to have samadhi and wisdom as well. If they speak, and we go following after their moods and ways of thinking, then we become tired as well. Our mind will be lowered too. So we need to have wisdom to look after the mind. So upekkha, equanimity, has lots of benefit, like I have explained in this talk. So may you go and develop bhavana, so that you will know Dhamma, see Dhamma, and attain to Dhamma. May you grow in blessings.